Hello and good morning. So I thought I will make a little talk on something that's new that's come about. Now, there's something always new happening in my US, and every morning is this is better shared, and the world will be a better place to live in once you know about this. So it's more like good morning because it's happy news. Okay, now the thing is, we see the world, the universe, many shapes and sizes and in different directions. We have a sphere, and what we can't see is the behind. So, depending on our perspective, is how we are seeing flat Earth or round Earth, spherical Earth. Yeah, based on what we can see or our angle. Even if we see in any angle, a sphere will look like a flat surface because unless we have depth perception, and a lot of us have a difficulty with depth perception. Now, because we tend to see things in 2D, unless we see there's a 3D, there's a third dimension to it. That's when X, Y, and Z for the depth. Um, and it takes a little bit of eyes being able to focus to be able to see long, near, depth. And if we are only looking at what's immediately available in front of us, we cannot really perceive depth. And then there is ranges of colors, ranges of sounds, smells, tastes, what touches our skin, yeah? Feelings, in the sense, layers of what's happening inside, by which we can feel something. But that would also be physical sensation, a range of sensibilities. And then thoughts, there are ranges of thoughts. And all of them give our everyday experience a certain range of experiences, a range of colors, perception too. So the world that you see and the world that I see may be different because of has the eye lens adjusted and seen depths or just looked at one matter and did not see the depth of the matter. So we'll be talking about the same topic, but you would be seeing your stuff and I'd be saying my stuff, depending on did I go deep into the matter or not. Something more to add to the complexity if you'd like that, or to the simple, because sometimes when we know what we don't know, life gets a little more simpler. There is the idea of the black hole that people have been thinking about since some time. Like the galaxy, they say at the center of the galaxy, there's a black hole. But those ideas are also slightly changing in the sense there is the idea of mini black holes. Yeah, like many layers of mini black holes. And if they're all like the Milky Way, they're all having ranges, and then they have it's like you drop a pebble in the water, there are ripples there. And if you drop many pebbles, there would be many ripples. And those ripples would talk to each other, kind of do this, yeah, move according to how the water currents are. So if you think of it that way, and then you think that each person at the center of our being, we are kind of like a cylindrical black hole, so to speak, in the sense we are kind of, there's a space within us from head to toe, kind. And then we have our internal structures in different organizations, different arrangements within the framework of our skin. And if we consider that way, and that they're talking in terms of humans having brain waves and a body having several rhythms, heart beat this way, lungs also beat this way. Yeah. Um, again, heart beats like this way, this way. So there are many directions there. Then there's a lungs expand and contract. Then there's the rib cage, which is more like also many directions. It's not just 2D or just science. It's like a whole cage expanding and contracting. So many waves and rhythms. Our intestines are, I'm from the biodynamic perspective, so intestines go a little like this. Yeah. So there are so many rhythms by which a pulse, see if you just feel your wrist, there's a pulse going like this. Yeah. There's a kind of tick, 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 according in response to the heart. So there are so many rhythms happening in our body. And if we consider that if a pebble can cause so many ripples, then our body having so many rhythms would cause so many ripples. If we had some instrument to just walk around a person, you would notice many kinds of rhythms. You could also look at a tree. A tree is also breathing, so a tree would have many kinds of rhythms, or an animal, or a microbe, depending on the size and shape. And then we are in a house, and we have different people rhythming by their own rhythms. And then we may or may not, and each person is affected by what they have eaten. Some people have eaten vegetarian, some have eaten non-veg, some have eaten a stone. Yeah. There are all kinds of interesting ways of diet. Yeah, they're discovering keto, all kinds of diet. And then your body composition is talking without words in its own rhythms. Because when I'm speaking, there's a certain frequency, energy, vibration, depending on the rate of speech. I can really, really talk, and then if you can get it good. Or I can speak really slow and get to your nerves. Either ways, I could get to your nerves. Yeah, so there's a certain cadence which is more, we can kind of live with that. Yeah, or some people have a problem with no matter how you speak, you're never good enough. You're always irritating them because it's called an oppositional defiance syndrome. And no matter what you say, I will never be pleased. Yeah. So, um, how then do you work with all kinds of people who are just I'm ready to react. No matter what you say, I'm going to react. So, um, and we live amongst people like there's all kinds of people. Yeah. So, um, there are several kinds of rhythms in the air. Yeah. So when you're sleeping, the same rhythmic body is functioning differently. When you're standing up, with gravity having an effect on your body, and you're moving, you're not just standing, you're going in all kinds of shapes. Yeah. They have different kinds of rhythms. A person who is sleeping with a person who's standing in the same room will have different kinds of effects. Yeah. Um, and then there's a person who's sitting, who is this part moves, this part is more stable, moving differently. So different ways. That'll have different kinds of rhythms. And then many kinds of movements in between this, and this. Yeah. That makes for an interesting dynamics, biodynamics. Yeah. And I'll call it dynamic, biodynamic stillnesses, many kinds of not moving. Because sometimes there's moving, there's not moving, different kinds of not moving. Yeah. And then you have silence, different kinds of silences. And then there's different kinds of nothing. In the sense, if you consider kind of like a black hole to be like nothing, so the information goes in, it's like you digest something. There's processing metabolism happens, and then something, stars, for example, form, the galaxy forms. So if you consider nothing in that sense, there's a black hole, and then there's a mini, mini, mini. So many people who are basically space kind, but are affected by different kinds of rhythms. So we have many kinds of nothings. So if this brings a little complexity or a little interesting something to think about, and this gives better understanding of why you're dealing with what you're dealing with, or why are you faced with life the way it is, then maybe this is good news. This makes life simpler for you, and have a happier morning or a happier day this moment. Yeah. Thank you so much for your kind interest. Good day.